Keisha on the two. Ooh. Hi everybody. I know, inconsistent as me. I know. Rough couple of months, as you can imagine, but I did say that I am going to review Love and Hip Hop New York Season 10. I was not playing when I said that, and my plan is to actually, for right now, just focus on my reviews, and then I'll work on bringing all my other stuff back, probably in the new year. I think that would be best, get myself back on track with reviewing things and whatnot. But how are you? I miss you guys. Thank you for rocking with me, even though I have been inconsistent. I'm trying, but I have been watching shows. I'm a little behind on a few shows, which is why I haven't done any reviews yet. Like, I'm behind on Married to Medicine. I've been missing episodes of that like crazy. I'm behind on Grown Up Hip Hop. Like, the new Grown Up Hip Hop is on right now. That's how behind I am, but I'll still catch up on all of that pretty much before the new year hits or whatever, so that way I could start fresh in January or whatever. But Love and Hip Hop New York, though, this was a bomb season premiere, and everything that was going on was just like nostalgic, because Love and Hip Hop New York, honestly, from like season, because I actually enjoyed season 3, even though it was a weird change. No Chrissy, no Jim, no Kimbella. You know, it was a weird change. But season 4 I only enjoyed because of the Peter and Amina debacle. Like, but it's like Love and Hip Hop New York, they just been pulling people from anywhere and throwing them on this show. And the ratings on the New York chapter kind of like, for me, I mean, I still watched it to try and get some enjoyment out of it, but it was nothing like season 1 and 2. And to have Chrissy back, to have Tahiri back, to have Erica and Safari back, it just felt nostalgic. And I see later on in the season, Olivia even makes a cameo, which, you know, is both good and meh for me, because I liked Olivia. I just didn't like her nonchalant ass attitude. Like, yes, you can sing, but you being a jerk and having an attitude and whatnot and being stank about it is not going to get you nowhere in life. But hopefully, you know, she's grown, because they haven't been on this show in like 6 seasons. I want to say about 6 or 8 seasons. Season 2, Olivia was on season 3. If I'm not mistaken, Olivia was on season 3. I think she left season 4. I don't remember. Let's get into it, because I done spent 3 minutes talking about past seasons. But yeah. So the episode started with Chrissy, of course, and she's talking about all she's been doing. She's been living in Miami for like the past 4 or 5 years, which I remember that's what was happening on her and Jim Jones' show on We Vow or Never. They was in Miami for a while, and I remember her saying that she was going to stay back in Miami while he went back to New York. I didn't know it went from them being, I thought it was going to be like a short thing, like she stayed in Miami for some months and then she joined Jim in New York. She ended up staying out there, like living out there, because I wasn't really keeping up with Chrissy on social media like that. So she's back from Miami, and she gets to the house, and pretty much she's saying that Jim Jones has been in legal trouble like while she was away. Something about him, I think he was charged with what the hell was it? Was it gun possession? I don't remember. But he legal troubles or whatever. So she came back to New York just to you know, get back in the swing of things with him. She gets in there, the house is all a mess or whatever. He ain't even make it to where like he's welcoming her or whatever. And that's just, I don't know. But Chrissy is pretty much saying that she wants to mend fences with people coming back to New York. And, you know, she wants to speak to Kimbella, because her and Kimbella had that big old brawl in season 2. And she wants them to talk about that. And see if they could grow from it and whatever, because she knows that that's Joel's wife and the mother of his children, and she wants to make sure they're on good terms because Jim and Joel's are best friends, brothers pretty much. So we get to Yandy. Yandy is hosting a prison reform event called, she's working with this organization called Until Freedom, and you know, Remy is there. Remy could relate because she did 6.5 years in prison and has done 5 years of parole. And Rich can relate because his baby mother might possibly do jail time for self-defense or whatever. And Kimbella is there because, you know, Joel is currently serving a 27-month sentence in prison for a gun charge. So Yandy is doing this to pretty much bring awareness to the over-policing and the mass incarceration or whatever. So, Remy talks about being off of parole. She no longer has her anklet on, her ankle bracelet. So she wants to throw a party, to celebrate being off of parole or whatever. And, Kimbella and Yandy pretty much have like a weird tension amongst them. And, they feel like they're cool, but they aren't on the best of terms because Yandy feels like Kimbella disrespected her mothering as it pertains to Yandy adopting Infinity, and if it was sincere or whatever. So they still have like a bumpy relationship. They got a ways to go or whatever in repairing their friendship. So Jonathan is there and he tells Yandy about meeting up with Chrissy and how Chrissy reached out to him to let him know that she's back in New York, and that you know, she just wants to hang out and talk or whatever, possibly just, you know, clear the air with a lot of people. And you know, Yandy is not really here for it because her and Chrissy got a little bit of a beef from years ago. So now we get to Sin and Joe Budden, and they're at this little playhouse or whatever with their son. They're not even talking. It's pretty much a drop-off pickup type of thing. They don't even communicate, and then Sin reveals that there was infidelity within their relationship. Like, I think right after they got engaged. So she just packed up, no contact, no nothing, no communication. She just packed up and left because it was pointless. She felt it was pointless for him to like propose to her if he was going to go and cheat, which is the truth or whatever. So there was no conversation pretty much in this scene. They just, you know, swapped the baby, like tagged each other like you it, took the baby, that was it. Now we get to Erica and Safari. I don't care what nobody says. Erica used to get on my damn nerves, I'll be honest. Especially when she first got on Love and Hip Hop. I've said this before, but now I actually enjoy her and Safari together. I said this before too. They make a very beautiful couple. Their baby is gonna be beautiful, and it seems like they genuinely have a love for each other that they both were looking for in other people and could not have. So I'm happy for them, and I'm happy that they're on this season. So, you know, they announced that they're pretty much saying that they're in love and how they met or whatever. And, you know, Safari is like, well, I've known Erica for years, but we reconnected on Scared Famous. And, you know, I pretty much professed my love to her, told her I was in love with her, blah, blah, blah. You know, here we are. So I proposed to her, and, you know, we're going to have a baby. You know, she's pregnant. She's about a few months along or whatever. And, you know, Papoose and Remy, y'all got the golden child. Well, this is going to be the rose gold diamond baby. And I'm like, you know what? I can't. But that's cute, though. So they're just talking about, like, their wedding plans and whatnot. And Erica is saying that she's been in all these relationships where she felt like she was giving more love than she was receiving. And she feels very strongly about Safari, like they're like legit in love with each other or whatever. So it was nice to see, you know, that those two, they're just so into each other, and like I just love it. So now we get to Pat, Rich, and Joe, and I actually appreciated this scene. I appreciated Papoose telling Joe about himself in this scene because Joe seems to think that he does nothing wrong. And this has been an ongoing storyline for some seasons now. Like, he honestly feels like he's always right and everybody else around him is wrong. Like, he does nothing wrong. He's the end-all, be-all, innocent, whatever. So he tells the guys about Remy's parole being lifted and throwing a party for it or whatever. So they're discussing, they're asking him about Sin, and he's like, well, I didn't cheat. She just got up and left or whatever, and I didn't do anything. She got up, she left, we didn't communicate, that was that. So Pap was like, so you're not going to take no accountability at all in this? Like, he's like, no, because I didn't cheat. He was like, but there had to have been something in those messages or like a weird exchange that would make her just want to leave. And he's like, no, you know, people just lack basic communication skills. And I'm like, no, Joe, it's not that complex. You were doing something that was clearly inappropriate to your fiance. She did not like it. And you even admitted yourself that there was people that she went through your phone and she came across messages that weren't that appropriate. So for you to just shrug it off like, ain't no big deal, she shouldn't have been in my phone, she should have communicated with me. No. Because it's like, what is there to talk about when the proof is in the pudding? What is there to talk about? Because if the shoe were on the other foot and Sin, which I'm pretty sure she has mad dudes in her DMs, and Sin was talking to some dude on the side or whatever, you wouldn't like it. See, dudes don't never like when that shoe be on the other foot, but they be, bruh. But Papoose was like, no, you need to own your part in this whole situation. Like, you're not innocent. She didn't just stop messing with you, stop talking to you because of nothing. Take accountability. I was like, that's a real man talking right there. A real man. A real happily married man talking right there. Because I'm like, I like Joe Budden, but his antics, and it's like on every season, it's always something. And it's like he's just very stoic and nonchalant in his feelings. So I can understand why Sin feels the way that she feels or whatever. Because it's like Joe doesn't care. Like when he talks, it's very monotone. There's no feeling in it. It's just whatever. So, Remy is, you know, in the booth rapping or whatever. And she's, you know, Papoose is like, you know, Remy is in her element. She has to put out music, but it hasn't been an easy thing to do to work, to juggle work and life or whatever, being a new mom and being on a show and also, trying to work on an album that you're contractually obligated to do. So it's a lot. Like, she's overwhelmed, but she's doing the best that she can trying to figure it out, which is why at this point, it's time for them to get a nanny. Because I remember Remy was saying that she wanted to get a nanny like last season, but Papoose was against it. But I mean, now would be the time. Like, y'all are both trying to get back into work or whatever. Now would be the time to get a nanny. So, now we get to Chrissy and Kimbella finally meeting up. And I know y'all remember Chrissy and Kimbella had that big old fight. Well, it wasn't really a fight. It was a Chrissy knocked Kimbella's head into the floor and tried to kill that girl. All because of Kimbella telling Emily that she dated Fab, you know, in 2008. And Emily was saying that around that time she was pregnant. So that pretty much means that it was overlap and Fab was cheating on Emily. That's what it meant. So they discussed the situation or whatever. And Chrissy said that she felt disrespected or whatever because she felt like that wasn't the moment to bring up that situation. But again, Chrissy realized that she was wrong for how she reacted or whatever. And my thing is, to this day, I still didn't really understand why Chrissy got so mad like she did, because she got mad. She got mad like Kimbella said that she dated Jim Jones while they were together or something, like, and lost it. Like, she just snapped. And if you look back at that fight, Chrissy was trying to kill Kimbella. Like, she was trying to stomp that girl's head into the floor. So it was like, I don't know. But, you know, Chrissy apologized and she's like, I just want to move forward because, you know, I don't want to be I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I won't be disrespected. And I know that, you know, Jim is your husband and Jim, Jewels is your husband, and that him and Jim are like brothers. So I feel like we should have a sisterhood. We shouldn't be beefing. So Kimbella is like, I could applaud you for wanting to make amends and talking to me about the situation, and you know, we could rock out and put the past behind us or whatever. So, you know, Kimbella's like, well, seeing as we talking about mending relationships and stuff, what's going on with you and Yandy? And she's like, you know, me and Yandy was cool at one point, but it was just the fact that she just switched up. Like, she felt the way about the fact that, like, she just switched up. Like, her whole demeanor changed, her attitude changed or whatever, and she was crossing a boundary. So at this point, F her or whatever. So I'm like, well, and then again, I could understand, but I didn't really understand her beef with Yandy either. But looking back at it, I do understand her beef with Yandy, because season 2 Yandy, and that was Yandy's first season on camera, I think I remember her saying Yandy was like uber annoying, with always talking about money and all kinds of things and throwing it up in Chrissy's face, pretty much making it seem like all Chrissy was like a housewife or nothing, like, you know, just downplaying Chrissy's role as Jim's girlfriend. So now we get to Sin and Joe, and they're finally having a conversation in the park or whatever, and Sin pretty much just wants Joe to own up to what he's done. He's refusing to own up to his stuff, and she's like, why wouldn't you tell me that you're miserable? Why wouldn't you communicate with me that you're unhappy or whatever? We get engaged, and then all of a sudden you go out and you talking to some nigga, and he's like, well, Sin, we're arguing about a female every week. And she's like, yeah, we're arguing about chicks that you sleep with. Like, come on, this is not, I'm not just pulling this from nowhere. So she, you know, he was like, well, you just left. And she was like, what was the point of me staying there? You had other people you were talking to. It was pointless. So he pretty much keeps denying that he ever slept with somebody. And Sin is like, well, that's not that's not what the situation was, according to the text messages that I saw or whatever. So she pretty much storms off, because she's like, what's the point of having this conversation with you and discussing our co-parenting and discussing our future as a family if you're not going to admit your faults or whatever? And he still hasn't admitted his faults with her. And he's like, you know, as she storms off and she's pissed off or whatever, he's like, well, I knew she was going to storm up. And it's like, yo, like, you legit do not care. And like, that's what I mean. Like, Joe just, it's like he doesn't care. He doesn't care. And you can tell that Sin genuinely loved Joe. Like, she really wanted to make it work with him. But it's like, talking to him is like talking to one of these New York skyscrapers, okay? So now we get to Remy's off parole party, and you know, Pat does a rap for her at her party, and you know, Safari and Joe comes up to Safari and gives him a 5, and they pretty much said that they made up because Joe's dog had to be euthanized. So Safari reached out to him and offered his condolences, and from there they've just been cool. Now, Rich and Safari haven't really made amends, because remember last season reunion, Rich was upset at the fact that Safari pretty much denied being with Erica, or didn't tell him the full story about him being with Erica, which I don't feel like, why does he have to tell you that? You and Erica were dating moons ago. Like, y'all, the last time y'all dated was like season 3. We in season 10. That's a whole 7 seasons later. And the whole time you was with Erica, every woman that you have been with, Rich, you have dogged out. You have played. You have treated like property and trash. Like, so why are you so mad? Because she was the one that got away? You ruined that. And she was actually the only one. Now that I think about it, she was. Erica was the only one that told Rich about himself. And that hit him to his core. That's why he's so bothered by the fact that Erica has moved on and is living her life, which rightfully so, she should. You did nothing but play games with that girl when y'all was together. So he's like, you know, Safari, you know, peace and blessings, congratulations, blah, blah, blah. And then he goes to Erica and he's like, oh, you know, Minna, congratulations. And he holds out his hand to shake it. Erica's like, Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, Erica, because first of all, that's the reaction I would have had. So Erica was like, I don't know why he keeps coming into my space when it's not respected nor wanted. I don't care for Rich. I just want him to stay out my space or whatever. So he goes back to the table with Joe and he's like, yo, Shorty wouldn't even shake my hand. You know, and Joe was like, yeah, but you did great. He was like, yeah, I don't now see on this part, I don't know if he said that he wanted to spit on her or if he wanted to spit on his hand. Either way, him saying that was mad rude and mad disrespectful. First of all, that lady is pregnant. So if you would have spit in any direction, Safari would have laid you out. And I'm sorry. I feel like Safari would lay Rich Dollaz out. I don't feel like Rich could fight. Okay? I'm just saying. I feel like Rich, honestly, he irritates me. Like, he is such a I used to call him Bitch Dollaz. I remember. Because he used to get on my nerves. Like, the stuff, like, his antics. Like, you are too old for the stuff that you are doing. Like, my God, when are you going to grow up? Like, aren't you in your 40s? Your late 40s? Something. So, for him to even say that and for that to even come out his mouth was, like, disgusting. But I'm like, what else can we expect from Rich? He's bitter. He's a bitter old man. So, you know, Jonathan is like, well, this is awkward because everybody that's there has somehow been in a relationship or they have some kind of beef with each other. You know, Joe and Sin are there and they're no longer together, but Sin and Erica used to mess around. Yandy is there and Kimbella and Chrissy arrive and, you know, Rich and Erica used to date and they don't get along, so it's odd. And Rich and Safari were friends at one point, and Safari and Erica, like, it's a whole spider web going on in here. But you know, it was pretty much it pretty much stopped there. But the next episode, because this was a two-part episode, two-part premiere, it went right into, you know, when Chrissy and Kimbella arrived, and Yandy is like, when did Kimbella and Chrissy become friends? And you know, Kimbella pretty much was like, you know, me and Chrissy spoke or whatever. We made amends. And I felt like you guys could do the same. So Chrissy pretty much was like, you know, it's been a long time and I don't want us to be beefing. But, you know, my issue was the fact that I felt like you crossed a boundary in my relationship with Jimmy. Like, you was asking him about the stuff that he was buying me and whatnot. Like, I don't understand that. You know, Yandy is like, well, the only reason why I did that is because I was trying to keep track of what he was doing financially because it was so much stuff going on. You know, it had nothing to do with what he was, like, him taking care of you personally. It had everything to do with me managing his finances or whatever. So she's like, Chrissy just felt like Yandy switched up. Like, Yandy went from being a manager to pretty much, like, she forgot her role or whatever. And Yandy feels like, well, you know, if I have a manager-client relationship with somebody, I consider them my family as well. So why can't I, you know, express my opinion and, you know, say how I feel? And Chrissy is like, well, you should have known by you saying what you said to Jim about me was going to affect the bag because you know how he feels about me or whatever. So their conversation wasn't going nowhere. And Chrissy was like, this is like a merry-go-round. I'm not even about to, like, get into this. So we get to Safari and Erica, and they're in, I think, Jersey, and they found a venue for their wedding, and they're trying to, like, get everything together in 3 weeks. They're trying to get married in 3 weeks, which I don't understand, but, you know, these celebrities got the money for it because you planning a wedding in 3 weeks. But, I mean, I get it because it's like a crunch time. Like, she wants to get married now because she's not showing all the way, but you know, she has like a little baby bump, so she wants to get married now so that, like, she still looks fine in the pictures or whatever. But that's just a lot. 3 weeks, that's not enough time to plan no wedding. But whatever. So now we get to Kimbella and Chrissy, and they're hanging out, and Jonathan was invited, and they're discussing the party. So Jonathan and them is saying that they're proud of Chrissy because they know that it was hard for her to even have a conversation with Yandy or whatever. And Chrissy is like, well, I don't never try to have like hold grudges with people. I just have a problem with disrespect. And it seems like Yandy doesn't get that. Like, it's like she didn't get that. She crossed the boundary. She shouldn't have been questioning Jim about what he was buying me and purchasing me. And I felt the way about that. So, you know, she's like, she starts talking about her investment group was called Lady Millionaires Club, and what they do is they go around and find houses, I think in Miami, and they flip the houses and sell them or whatever. So you know, it's been making her some money, and she's been making connections. She got the job by shadowing this guy named Greg Parker, and he told her everything that she needed to know so far about real estate and all of that. So she got her own little thing going, which is good, because everybody always thinks that Chrissy is just biting off of Jim and he's paying her money, and that's not always the case. These women they be having their own thing going on. So now we get to Sin and Yandy, and you know, they're discussing her talk with Joe, and she's just pretty much like, it went nowhere because he will not own up to what he was doing. So Rich arrives, and they're discussing Chrissy, and Yandy is like, I don't get why she took it so personal about me managing Jim's finances. You know, I'm sorry I talked him out of getting you the $50,000 watch or whatever. I was just trying to keep your lights on. And I'm like, Yandy, that shady as hell. That's shady as hell. That's why that girl, that's why she be on 10 when it comes to you, because she know that comment was shady. But yeah, so now they're talking about Safari and Erica, and you know, of course, Rich is like, you know, because Yandy was like, well, have you two become she talking about Sin and Rich, like, have y'all become soulless individuals since, you know, dating Erica? And Rich is like, he pretty much feels like Safari is willing to marry any and everybody just for the sake of being married, and he doesn't really feel like Safari really wants to marry her, because supposedly the rumor was that well, I think Sin has said that the rumor was that Gabby from Love and Hip Hop Miami was proposed to by Safari, like, I think weeks prior from Erica, or weeks, I don't know, but I don't know what happened with that. And then they showed a text message, which I do remember seeing that, and I do remember Gabby going off on Erica and Safari, and then something happened where Erica trashed their house and knocked over, like, it was a bunch of craziness. But I will say this, I don't really care for Gabby, so I don't even know if we should believe anything that she puts out there, because this was the same chick that was chasing around Pleasure P season 1 of Love and Hip Hop Miami, all because he got back with Pretty Ricky. Like, she looked mad thirsty, like, oh, you know, he's back with Pretty Ricky, so that means he got money in his pocket. Sorry, I could just tell. So, you know, Rich is talking about, oh, well, like, I hope that their relationship is good and everything, but, you know, she didn't want to shake my hand, and that, like, and it's like, why do you care so much? You care so much because, like I said, Erica is the one that got away from Rich, and that's your fault, because you didn't do what you were supposed to as a man and secure that relationship with her. So I don't know, like, Rich is just annoying. Rich is annoying, and it's like, and then he's fraudulent, because you sitting up here and you talking about, oh, you know, dapping it up with Safari, like, blessings, we ain't got no beef, blah, but in the same breath, you talking about their relationship, and y'all sitting up here cracking jokes about it, like, yo, Safari's changed. Yes, Safari's changed. Safari is about to be a whole father and a husband. Like, why y'all expect? And that's what I'm seeing, like, the theme of this premiere was, like, yeah, the OGs are back, but it's like y'all want to go back to how y'all was 7 seasons ago, and that makes absolutely no sense. People change. You're supposed to change. If you don't change, your growth is stunted, your mind is narrow. You're supposed to change. Situations are supposed to make you change. So we get to Remy, and she's doing a photo shoot, and she's discussing the fact that she got to get the album out They're telling her to take photos as promo for her album, and she's still having a hard time juggling motherhood and all that other stuff. And Joe is pretty much telling her, listen, there are women out here who have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12 babies, and they still get their work done. You just got to figure it out for yourself. You know, you have to get back into the studio, lock yourself in, and work. But, you know, you got to be a mother. You have to wear so many hats. You just have to know how to balance that. But you got to get it done. So, you know, Remy is pretty much overwhelmed and she's breaking down and whatnot. And Joe is like, yo, you can't let the fans down. You got to put in work. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. You have the stardom. You have the key to do it. Like, your fans is going to rock with you no matter what. And it's the truth. Like, Remy went to jail, came out, and people were excited about it. And then, like, you know, Remy is loved. It's just that she doesn't, and it sucks because once you go to jail and you come out, depending on how you work it, I feel like it's always good when a situation like that happens. When you go to jail and you come right out, as soon as you come out, you should come out with a record. Because most of the time when you're in jail, you're in there writing rhymes anyway. And Remy said that she had a whole bunch of rhymes that she wrote while she was in prison. Put all of that in a song, and it seems like she does. It's just that she hasn't released anything. Like Meek Mill did it. Meek Mill came out with Championships, and that album is fire. And then you see JT from City Girl, soon as she came out, first thing she did was she made a record, Free JT. Like, so it's like you got to capitalize off of that, and you got to keep the momentum going, because this is the era where, you know, everybody's attention span is like Doug from Up, squirrel, you know, and it's like you blink and, okay, what's the next hot thing, squirrel? Okay, what's the next hot thing, squirrel? Like, you know, you got to catch it. You got to strike while the iron is hot, pretty much. So we get to Erica and Tahiri, and they meet up, and Erica tells Tahiri that she's pregnant. Tahiri's like happy for her. So Tahiri's like, you know, I do want to find me somebody and have a baby, but I won't force it. So you know, Erica was saying, you know, well, you know, Joe is single and you're single. What's up with that? You ever think y'all would rekindle? And she's like, listen, I could forgive Joe, but I can't forget. And she's like, what most people don't even know is that before he was even thinking of proposing to Sin, he actually hit me up like, yo, I'm about to propose. So Tahiri is like, you know, she forgives him. She ain't forget what happened. And, you know, she brings up a prenup to Erica, and she's like, I'm not gonna marry somebody I don't trust. So if you guys are getting married, y'all should probably do a prenup just to protect yourselves. You know, not to say that something will happen, but just to say, you know, if something happened, in case something happens, y'all are both protected, y'all assets and everything else that you have tied to your name. So now we get to Sin, Jonathan, Kimbella, and Yandy. And so Yandy is still feeling like a little side-eye-ish about Kimbella and Chrissy being friends or whatever. So Sin is like, well, you know, she was like, what do you call it when you are not really messy, but you have some tea, but, you know, you're not sure if you should spill it or whatever, but you want to spill it just to have something to talk about. And Jonathan was like, well, that would be called being Dominican. I'm like, well, yeah, just a little bit. So Sin was like, well, since we're on the topic of Chrissy, I saw something in the blogs. I don't really know much about it, but it has something to do with their house. So Yandy's like, well, I'm gonna pull it up. She reads the article. It says that their house in New Jersey is going through like foreclosure or whatever. So Kimbella feels like Yandy and Jonathan are being messy by talking about it. Yandy goes on to continue reading the article, and then Yandy says something about, oh, they stopped making payments on the house in 2010. So she was like, huh, funny, that's when I stopped managing him. Pretty much throwing shade yet again, making it seem like, okay, well, this is what happened because I'm no longer his manager. Like, you know, ha karma. I caught that shade. So did Kimbella. That's why she went off the way that she did. So Kimbella was like, yo, you're being mad messy. And she's like, how am I being messy? I didn't write this. I'm reading what's on the internet. And she's like, yeah, but you're going to bring up the fact that you was that once you stop managing him, that's when his finances went crazy. And that might not even be the case. You talking about this lady and she not even here to defend herself. So Yandy is like, so you sitting up here and you defending her and, you know, she knocked your head sideways and now all of a sudden y'all best friends. And she's like, it's not about being best friends. It's a boundary thing. It's a respect thing. You're talking about this girl and she's not even here to defend herself. So, you know, Yandy is like, well, this whole conversation sounds real best friendish. She's like, well, me and you aren't friends, so then you could feel that way. So Yandy's like, wait a minute, so now we not friends? And she's like, listen, we've hung out with the kids and all of that. That's great and all, but we're still not on good terms. So Yandy's like, wow. So all of a sudden you and Chrissy friends, we not friends now? That's kind of like shady or whatever. And I'm like, well... So, and you know, Kimbella felt the way because Jonathan is supposed to be cool with Chrissy and he's talking about Chrissy and whatnot, pretty much siding with Yandy, which is something Kimbella said earlier. And, you know, Kimbella was like, you messy and you being messy, Boots. Sin, me and you cool. And Sin is like, call me. You know, I'll call you. And I'm like, I can't. So she's like, you didn't even defend me. You sitting up here bringing the situation with me and Chrissy. But remember, in that situation, you didn't even defend me. So then they go back to rolling the tape. And Yandy was like, I actually did defend her or whatever. I did stand up for her because when Chrissy went to go attack her the first time, I blocked her. But then they showed the other part where Chrissy got up. And Yandy was just standing there. And that's when she was able to get to Kimbella. And Yandy didn't come until after Chrissy had already got her or whatever. So this whole situation is a mess. So now we get to Chrissy and Jim. And Chrissy pretty much says that she was just as blindsided as everybody else with the news that the house was in foreclosure. Jim didn't tell her nothing. And she's on the phone with Jim. And Jim is like, yeah, you know. She's like, why would you not tell me about this? He's like, well, you know, you have your own business going, and what you have in your business, that means you stay out of my pocket, and I don't have to deal with that headache. And I'm like, wow, Jim, you just don't get it. And this is why you and Chrissy never got married, never did nothing, because the way you be talking to this girl sometimes is just disgusting. Like, I don't know how Chrissy does it. I don't know how she did it for 15 years either. So, you know, Chrissy is like, the fact that you got the house going in foreclosure because you messed up, this looks bad on my part. Now, people want to think because I'm in the real estate business and I'm doing this whole investment thing, flipping homes, who's going to want to give me their money because I'm affiliated with you? So, you know, he's like, no, I know I messed up. You know, I'ma fix it. I don't want you involved. I want you to keep doing what you're doing. And she's like, yo, I want to smack you so hard through FaceTime. And he's making a joke of it like, you know, there is actually a way that you could do it. And I'm like, yo, Jim, this is not the time to crack jokes. Because she is like pissed at you. Rightfully so. So now we get to Remy and Pap. And Remy is in the dressing room. And she got the baby. But she's getting her makeup done. And her people is calling her like, yo, you know, you need to hurry up on set. And she's like, yo, I can't do anything. I got the baby. My husband's not here. He's running around getting breakfast. You know, the baby wants me. She won't stop crying. She wants to play in the makeup. Or I can't do this. You're not here. And he's like, yo, I'm here all the time. You know, I have a career too. And my career takes a back seat to your career because I want to see you win too. And, you know, he's like, I understand how you feel. And she's like, you don't understand how I feel. And it's like, Remy, at this moment, y'all got to be a team. And y'all got to come together and figure out a solution to this issue, which would be to get a nanny. But Remy was with the idea of getting a nanny. I think Papoose was the one that was against it. So Remy is just like, you know, just take the baby and, you know, let me breathe for a second before I gotta go on the show or whatever. So I hope they work it out. Now we get back to Erica and Safari, and they're having like a little get together at their house, you know, I guess discussing the wedding. They only invited like a certain amount of people. So Tahiri is there, like I said, and then Joe arrives. So, well, first, Erica and Tahiri are discussing the prenup, and Erica's like, she's not sure if she should bring up the prenup for the simple fact that Safari might be against it or whatever. And Tahiri's like, listen, just bring it up and y'all have that discussion so that y'all would be, you know, y'all would both be protected. So Joe arrives, sees Tahiri, and they're pretty much discussing life or whatever. And Tahiri is like, me and Joe were together for 5 years. As much as we were like, you know, it for each other and we were like magnets, we were just as toxic. After her relationship with Joe, she decided to, you know, break off and travel the world, live her life or whatever. But she's taking a break from living in LA, coming back to New York to visit family. So they're pretty much catching up, and you know, she's asking him about sin, and he's like, you know, the short version of it is it didn't work out for such and such reason. And Tahiri's like, you know what, we should hang out soon, you know, just to catch up or whatever. And he's like, yeah, we won't talk about it here, but we'll set something up soon. So now we get back to Safari and Erica talking about going to an attorney about like pre-wedding stuff, making sure that everything is insured, making sure that everything is taken care of. And then Erica brings up the prenup, which makes Safari a little uneasy. Well, a lotto. And I know a lotto was not a word, but it made him real uneasy because he felt blindsided by it, and that's not something he wanted to discuss in front of the lawyer, which I understand. So the lawyer respectfully stepped out the room and they had a discussion. And Erica, her biggest fear is that she'll end up married with the baby, and you know, infidelity comes into the picture. So he's like, yo, I've never cheated on Erica, so I don't know why this topic is coming up. And the basis of it is that I cheated. So producers were like, so, you know, nothing ever happened with you and Gabby from Love and Hip Hop Miami. And he's like, no, nothing ever happened. Who said something happened between me and her? And they were like, the blogs. So he started simmering like, the blogs make up everything every day, all day. Like, I don't know if the whole situation between Safari and Gabby is 100% true, but we don't know if it's 100% not true at the same time. Only people who know that is Safari and Gabby. So, you know, Erica is just trying to protect herself. And, you know, Safari is like, listen, if I'm with you and I propose to you, I'm not proposing to you and thinking at the same time, okay, well, I proposed to her, so I'm going to cheat on her, whatever. We're about to have a baby. I'm locked in. So if you really think that I'm going to sit up here and do all of this and then do something like that to you, you sadly mistaken. So Erica's like, I just want to make sure I'm protected. You know, I don't want this to be a heavy subject of where we start arguing about it and whatnot. So Safari is like, listen, I just feel like the whole way you handling this is sneaky, and I'm not going to discuss this further until I get my own lawyer, and then we talk about it like that. And it pretty much ended there. So it was a good season premiere. Like I said, I'm glad that the OGs are back. I'm excited for this season because it's going to be real good. Next episode, it's going to be good because that's when Chrissy finds out what Yandy said, and she going to go off on Yandy and all this other stuff. So overall, it was a really good season premiere. I'm a bit exhausted or whatever because I had to stay up and write notes for this, and then my kids were sick this weekend, so me trying to do everything and get my life together. But I was like, nope, gotta get on camera and gotta get back to it. So like I said earlier, I'm definitely gonna try and keep up with the reviews, but Trended with Tisha, Mental Health Mondays, and what is it, Fishbowl Fridays, I'm going to postpone until 2020. So I'll bring those back in 2020. Hopefully they'll be, you know, better, fresher, and whatnot. But I will keep up with my reviews. I'll keep up. Well, Love and Hip Hop New York is the added one. On Sunday, I'll release all of my reviews for the episodes of Married to Medicine that I missed. I'm currently catching up on them. I'm gonna try my best, if not this Thursday, next Thursday, to put out Growing Up Hip Hop New York. Even though the season is over, I still haven't seen it, so I would like to finish that too. So I have a lot of catching up to do, and I'm gonna do it, but I'm just gonna focus on that right now and get back into the groove of things. But like I said, as always, thank you guys for rocking out with my inconsistent ass. I appreciate you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All of my information is in the description below. And don't forget to tell a friend, to tell a friend, to tell a friend about Tisha on the tube. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful night. Later.